Hello, 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 hello. Welcome back, everyone, to this Sunday stream. A very late Sunday stream, but still Sunday nevertheless. I was debating on whether to do this or not on later in the afternoon instead, but the heat would have been unbearable, so we're doing it now. For the delay, so today we are doing some more Great Ace Attorney. So, last we left off, we continued the investigation of chapter 2. Well, actually, it was all investigation, there was no trial, so it's like, we essentially, since I kept thinking there would be a trial afterwards, we essentially ended up finishing chapter 2 in one stream. Okay. TLDR is, Cosmo's dead. We have gained more points with Sato in that relationship. And we have also met the great Sherlock Holmes. He has no other name, it is Sherlock Holmes. So anyways, we'll be continuing with episode 3, The Adventure of the Runaway Room. Since we'll pretty much like this is like actually in Britain now, it's like sorry, you'll be hearing a lot of terrible English accents.
Glancing over my records of the late last century, I am faced by the events of a certain bitter winter.
You have to bear with me then.
A murder in a carriage as it sped through dense London fog in the dead of night. Though the victim and the perpetrator were the only ones inside, there were multiple witnesses to the crime itself. However, none could have imagined at the time that such a seemingly obvious case as this would end in such a horrendous manner. My friend, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, once said of the incident, "I believe that perhaps that case was indeed..."
I think this was like, you know, they might be wondering, like, you know, how can John Watson for like narrate what's happening in each episode? But it's like, it's really just like, it's like, again, it's just a narrator. It's not really Watson like knowing things. There's Sato, and there's Yunosuke.
Amazing. Is this really just a railway station?
Railway station or not, I've never seen such an enormous building.
Sorry, I'm adjusting the fan so it's less hearable.
And look at all the steam locomotives. This country is incredible.
Again, my voices for these characters match none of like their voices in the cutscenes because again, the cutscenes only started happening by episode 2, so I couldn't rebase it on much.
I feel like I'm dreaming.
So this is the
Let me guess, we're gonna get robbed, aren't we?
So, where to?
Oh, hello.
Climb aboard. I'll take you wherever you want to go.
I don't trust that. No one's that polite in the city of
The
London.
Supreme Court in Whitehall, if you wouldn't mind.
My pleasure.
Well, they had to brush up on their English.
I suppose you're visiting students from abroad, eh?
Yes.
Thought so. Well then, I hope you enjoy your stay. And welcome to the centre of the world. Great Britain's mighty capital, London.
Oh, I can hear the smugness every time the British, because I see they're the center of the world. It was for the 19th century, but it's like, it's still smugness. February 18th, 9:21 a.m. Supreme Court Lord Chief Justice Office. No, don't tell me it's inside Big Ben. Well, it's inside Elizabeth Tower. Because come on. Yes, Westminster is in the Whitehall district, but it's like they have an actual building for the for this Supreme Court equivalent, or the judicial court, really. It's not in Big Ben. Maybe because like you can't really fit a room of that size or like grander or like a setup in Big Ben. It's not that big. Fine, fine. I'll set it for the aesthetics. What an incredible place! It's so imposing. It's almost suffocating. This place is breathtaking. It looks like a fortress. There are some stone buildings like this in Japan now, of course. But they've only been built in the few short decades since we opened our borders to the outside world. Stone... No, you've had stone buildings since before you've opened your borders. Many of the castles were primarily stone. There was wood, but it was primarily stone when it comes to structure. And, well, for Elizabeth Tower itself, it's not entirely stone, it has metal supports, otherwise it would have collapsed already. If it was just stone, it would have collapsed during the many earthquakes or fires. An authentic example like this has quite a different impact, wouldn't you agree? A far cry from the wood and paper most of our buildings are constructed from. Not really most of your buildings. The peasant housing, yes, but not really like the castles or like the actual like city buildings. It's certainly unfamiliar. But I think there's more to the differences than just construction materials. What is this place again? This is the Lord Chief Justice's office, Naruhodo-san, in the Supreme Court of Great Britain. The Lord Chief Justice. Hang on, let me just check if that's if that title's not correct. Okay, yeah. Of course we're gonna get it right, but it's like, yeah. So currently the title is Lord Chief Justice of England and Wales. So they're pretty much like the head of the judiciary or the judicial courts for England and Wales. Scotland has its own separate thing, as is obvious, and Ireland also has a separate thing. Pretty much like originally, the High Court of Justice, where like the Lords, the High Lord of Justice resides, or like, what was it they were calling it? Anyway, it used to be called the King's Bench or the Queen's Bench, which is not just a division in the High Court of Justice because, well, the correct proper term is Her Majesty's High Court of Justice in England. It's only a division now because it's pretty much like it's taking it has jurisdiction over pretty much like all the courts in England, pretty much. Pretty much like, yeah, so its office or like its building is not in Elizabeth Tower. Its building is known as Royal Courts of Justice, which is pretty much like located in Westminster, which is also commonly known as the Law Courts. It looks pretty much like a Gothic, like chapel or castle, pretty much. Pretty much like more like a chapel if you look at the entrance. It doesn't. It is not Elizabeth Tower. It's not a case of like it being like different or a difference of like design as well, or like changing times, because that design has been the same since the 1600s. We had instructions to report here at this time if circumstances were different. We were supposed to let the Lord Chief Justice know that we had arrived from Japan. But Kazuma can't. No. So instead, we are here in a different capacity. as envoys to report the news of Kazuma-sama's death. Yes, and having delivered his royal message, an envoy's duty is done. So, we'd have to return to Japan. If we want to remain here in Great Britain, I have to take Kazuma's place as a law student selected for the study tour. Yes, which means you need the requisite qualifications as a lawyer, which is what I've been studying for. Again, already more experienced than Phoenix. At least they actually studied for the law in that country they're previously going to. I know it's like, me only taught them what they need to know, but it's like, for fuck's sake. Every lawyer should know the law, or feels like the laws, or feels like the procedures in their district. Bullshit is not the way to win cases. Here in Great Britain, it is the Lord Chief Justice who appoints lawyers. Yes, because, electing them, it seems like it's just open to rampant corruption. So that's the second reason why we're here. To have you officially recognized as a lawyer. I'm pretty sure there's more requisites than that, but okay. It is the only way that we'll be able to remain here in London. I hope I'm up to scratch. Ah, good morning. Sorry for keeping you. Oh, it's this guy. Okay. Gotta give him my Gant voice. Oh. I trust you aren't too exhausted after your long voyage from Japan. Oh. It seems I'm 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 47 seconds late. My apologies. Oh, no. Don't mention it. We're never happier than we're standing around with nothing much to do. How fortunate. So, introductions. I am Mayor Strongheart, Lord Chief Justice of the British Empire. Okay, I feel like a mouse under an elephant's foot. Like, come on, even though it's not obvious, they're clearly designed to be like Gad's predecessor, or ancestor. They have the same damn cross as well on their chest. It's an honor to meet you, Lord Chief Justice Strongheart. I'm Ryonose Naruhodo from the Empire of Japan. Well, Mr. Naruhodo. Welcome to London, the capital of our glorious British Empire. Yes, thank you. I mean, to be honest, Britain and Japan were natural allies at the because they were both island empires. Right, so let me just save here in case we're meant to talk first. I kinda want to examine first. This must be the Lord Chief Justice's desk. I believe it's made of marble. Looks more like an over-the-top tombstone that's toppled over to me. I think that's your fanciful imagination at work again, Mr. Naruhodo. Feels like everything that's normally made of wood and paper at home is made of bricks and stone here. I know. That's why this place feels so overbearing, I'm sure. Just look at all the naughty books packed together on these shelves. They go from floor to ceiling. Well, not really ceiling, because I can tell there's at least 2 stories after that, before it goes to the ceiling at least. It is Big Ben. Well, actually no, it could theoretically be in Big Ben because the clock face alone is like 6 stories tall. But the structure wouldn't really support it. And they're all books that you couldn't hope to come by in Japan. It's like a dream. Yes, a very bad dream. They're not all about British law either. There are books about the judicial systems of other Western nations. France, Germany, Spain, Holland. The Netherlands was not referred to as the Netherlands until during the 1950s or so. It was still basically referred to as Holland, or the Dutch people. What about Russia? Why do you ask? I was wondering about asking the Lord Chief Justice how you say wardrobe in Russian. What do you think? I think perhaps it's a thought best abandoned. Look at these menacing metal giants pacing each other across the room. You have armor in Japan! The only difference is, instead of like, open-face samurai helmets, they have closed-face helmets. I believe they're suits of armor. Oh, right. I thought maybe they were like lion dogs you have in Japan guarding shrine gates. No, not at all. In fact, in Europe, suits of armor like these are always possessed by evil spirits, And they roam around in the middle of the night. Really? Is there nothing you don't know, Mrs. Sato? This book tells me everything I need to know about everything. If you're ever unsure, just ask. Oh, so it's an almanac then. Where did she get that incredible tome? Is this some kind of clock? Actually, I think we might be inside some sort of giant clock. Those gears are larger than anything you'd find in a steam locomotive even. It's eerie. Do you think clocks are sort of some hobby of his? The Lord Chief Justice, I mean? No. Big Ben was older than this office, I'm sure. But boys do enjoy fiddling around with machines, don't they? I'm not sure you could fiddle with cogs that size. Also, fiddling with cogs the size that beams would fit the Elizabeth Tower would pretty much like warrant you being arrested for life. Because one wrong pretty much like misstep, and you end up pretty much like crashing the entire mechanism and contraption to the ground. What do you think? It's still pretty much like being remodeled or like, renovated today. Still, it's amazing how little noise the cogs make considering how large they are. There's actually something quite soothing about their precise rhythm. Of course, there's like sides to this. Well, that's it. That's all we can do. Let me just save again. I love the music in the game. It's orchestral, but it's also very epic. So, what are your impressions of our capital so far? How do you like London? Oh, help. I've been so nervous since I got here that I can't remember a single thing about the city. It's simply splendid, isn't it, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh? We had a wonderful view of South London streets from the carriage on the way here from the station. Everything is so impressive and grand. I must say I'm almost lost for words. I'm glad to hear you like it. The city boasts tramways, piped water and gas, even cables supplying electricity. We spearhead every revolutionary new technology in the world. Every visitor to London is astounded. Well, you work in tandem with the US with certain inventions, but sure. And France as well. Oh yes, astounded is the word. Thanks for saying me there, Sasato-san. And everyone seems so jolly and full of vigor. Yes. There's much excitement about the upcoming great exhibition we'll be hosting here in London. Is it the 1883? No, 1883 was... No, wait, let me just check it real quick, because I'm pretty sure the 18 Great Exhibition was from Chicago. No, it was in Britain. It was 1883. Right now, I look at the one from 1851. This isn't from 1851, right? The game takes place in the late 1890s. But like the last one in London was 1862. I'm not finding anything. Yeah, I can't find anything. All we know about the game is that they take place at the end of the 19th century and like the start of the 20th century. So pretty much like 1890s to 1900s. Cultural and technological achievements from around the globe are to be exhibited here in our great city. It will be the greatest spectacle of its kind in history. It will make Paris' World Fair look like a toy shop. Gosh, I can hardly imagine how magnificent it's going to be. Great British capital city is nothing but magnificent. London is the center of the modern world, madame. If you do say so yourself. The sun will never set on our great empire. It still doesn't set on any part of Britain now. Perhaps it is fate that in these progressive times we welcome visitors from the land of the rising sun. Lord Chief Justice, I think you were expecting a student of law for this study tour, weren't you? Absolutely. A Mr. Kazuma Sogi, if my memory serves. That's right. The British government has already been telegraphed a full report on the situation. I understand the young man lost his life aboard the steamship bound for our shores. That's amazing. The news reached him before we even arrived. My country naturally extends its deepest condolences to yours. Oh, thank you. And you honored this appointment specifically to inform me of the news? Yes. We are here in the capacity of envoys from Japan to report the sad news in person. They tell me the Japanese are people of protocol and courtesy, and I see that it's true. And it is with some regret that I must inform you that the death of the young lawyer means the study tour arrangement can no longer proceed. If you just hear us out, Miss Lord Strongheart. What do you have to say, madame? It's about the study tour. Mr. Naroda here would like to make a proposal. Would he now? Well, Mr. Naruhodo, this is it then, the moment of truth. The thing is, Lord Justice, Lord Strongheart, I was wondering if perhaps you would consider allowing the cider to go ahead. Don't misunderstand me. Britain would ideally like to see the tour go ahead, but without a lawyer from your country, there is nothing to be done. Well, in that case, what if there was someone else, another lawyer from Japan, I mean? Is there something I don't know? Only a single lawyer was invited to Great Britain from your country, and that was Mr. Asogi. At least that is what I've been led to understand. Well, the thing is, this really isn't going well at all. Just can't seem to find the right words to say to this man. Mr. Naruhodo! I could ruin things here by not careful. What am I gonna say? There's someone else here from Japan who could be described as a lawyer. It's me. It's me. I can do it. Is that so? I mean, I don't actually have any qualifications as such, but no qualifications, you say, and yet you still claim to be a lawyer? I have acted as a lawyer in court before, only once as it happens. And I had Casma to help me, and I was the accused. But crossing over the details, I've been spending every spare moment on the journey here into Great Britain studying. I've learned all about British law and court proceedings while I was on board the Esperia. The voyage from Japan is some 50 days, I believe. Not what you might call a full education. To become a qualified lawyer here in Britain, not only do you need a university degree in law, you must also complete several years of training. I realize it's far too short a period of time, but I can't just go back to Japan. Mr. Asogi's journey has only just begun. Coming under the Starnager was all he thought about. I had to carry on and do everything he planned to do. I know it must sound like I have an overly inflated opinion of myself, but I would do anything to prove that I have what it takes. Any test you care to set me. Just one chance. That's all I'm asking for. Please. 31 seconds. Sorry? Your opening statement there, Mr. Naruhodo. It was 31 seconds long. Not too brief, not too protracted. A perfectly judged appeal, I would say. Which is a skill that would stand you in a good stead as a lawyer. Oh. Thank you. So, you're willing to put those words to trial, are you? Well, I'm all for entertainment. Huh? But let me ask you one thing first, sir. Yes? You say you intend to do everything Mr. Asogi planned to do. Are you firmly set on that path? I don't like agreeing to things that I have no 100% knowledge of, but we have to in order to continue the game. Well, yes, that's my intention. I see. Am I imagining things? Or did this situation just alter a precedent all of a sudden? Very well. You have your wish, I'll give you a chance. A test to become a specially certified lawyer. Whether you pass or fail is entirely down to you. Really? So, what form would the test take exactly? Tell me, Miss Naruhodo, what do you consider the role of a lawyer to be? Well, depending people, of course. Well said. So, let's have you defend someone. Ah, yes, nothing says like, the best teacher is experience. Don't argue having to defend yourself in court's already experience enough. Huh? Your timing is perfect, in fact. There's an apt trial about to begin later today. No advocate has been appointed for the defense as yet, so this will be welcome news. Today. We faced versus odds before. As Phoenix. Straight away. We can do it. You're more confident than Phoenix, we can do it. If you manage to secure a verdict of not guilty, you have passed my test. What could be simpler? How do I get myself into these situations? Well, could I ask, what sort of trial is it Lord Strong had? Yes, good question. Ah, I remember. The High Justices, or pretty much like the Lord Justice, won't remember every single trial, really. Also, it's not an ace attorney case if it's not a murder trial. It's a murder trial. A murder? A simply simple case, understand? You really can't lose. That's easy to say, but I should mention, just in case. If the defendant is found guilty, he will of course be sentenced to capital punishment. Capital punishment, he'll be put to death? Here in Great Britain, murderers are sent to the gallows without exception. Yes, and also we pretty much like have the public pay tickets to pretty much like have front row seats to said gallows. No, literally, they have pubs and everything pretty much like next to gallows, like, execution sites. Presumably, you read that much in your Sword C based introduction to British law? No, you have to, otherwise you can't continue the game. And I decide it's acceptable. But you can't do that, can you? They can. They are in charge of the judiciary. To represent. Sorry, they are pretty much like firmly in charge of the judicial courts of England and Wales. Oh, and this time, pretty much like of all Great Britain. By pretty much like by will of His or Her Majesty. There's no need to overcomplicate this. All you have to do is ensure that you don't lose. So the dependent may live or die depending on how well I perform in court. If I lose, he'll be hanged. Mr. Naruhodo, you can't be claiming to be a lawyer. If you want me to take you seriously, you need to prove you're willing to do a lawyer's job. And you say you intend to see through the will of your compatriot, Mr. Sogi. I would like to understand just how far you're willing to go in order to make that happen. He's testing my resolve. What's the matter? You've fallen silent. I'm sorry, but time is pressing. The trial begins shortly. I need an answer from you now. What's it to be? What do I say? Do I agree to this absurd test? It's like, we can't really say no. Because Susato will say yes for us anyways. I'll do it. Alright then, if I had to give you a decision now, my answer is... I can't do it, oh for fuck's sake. 15 seconds. Your decision making needs work if you want to be a lawyer. That was too slow. So, it's as I suspected, is it? Sorry? You have noble intentions, but lack the resolve to see them through. The test is cancelled. Thank you for stopping by. Go and acquire your ticket for passes back to the east tomorrow. This conversation is over. Yes, Long Strong Heart. Thank you for offering me a chance. Thank you, Guru Yuna, for the follow. Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sorry, Mrs. Sato, but what could I do? It's alright, I understand. You do? It's an easy decision to choose whether to depend on man in these circumstances. But resolve has absolutely nothing to do with it. What are you trying to say, madam? I think what Mrs. Sato means is that no matter how badly I'd like to be recognized as a lawyer and stay here in Great Britain, to risk another man's life by treating his one and only chance at a trial so trivially would be utterly unforgivable, and I feel exactly the same way. I'm sure the defendant won't see this trial as a test, as some kind of experiment. A lawyer may fight for his clients in court day after day, but for each one of those clients, the particular day they stand in the dock may be the only chance they have to fight to prove their innocence. No, I was wrong. I'm not qualified to do that job yet. I'm sorry for wasting your precious time, Lord Chief Justice. Wait, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, was there something else? It's approximately 20 minutes by carriage to the Old Bailey from here. If you leave immediately, you should still be there in time. But I just said that. I was quite serious in what I told you. The defendant in this case has literally no one to advocate for him. What? At this point, he can't hope to find someone to represent him. The trial will begin without a defense. And if that happens, there's only one possible outcome. He will receive the most severe sentence the judge can pass down. But that's awful. That's the law, baby. But that is the truth. Why does it have to be like this? Please don't expect an answer to every question. The cold hard truth of the matter is that there is only one person now with a chance to save this man from a very miserable end. And that is you. I'm really his only hope. So, what do you say now, madame? Me? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart? You said it wasn't an easy decision to choose Well, to defend a man in these circumstances. And I agree. But in my estimation, it is purely and simply a matter of resolve. Oh, our time is up here. I have a meeting to attend. I must leave in 2 minutes and 16 seconds. So, venture into our great city and enjoy ourselves. He's gone. The Old Bailey. To those who don't know, the Old Bailey is what you refer to as the Central Criminal Court of Great Britain, or to be precise, the Central Criminal Court for England and Wales. Right, we need to move to the Old Bailey. Remember, no spoilers in the chat. I detest spoiling. 18th February, 9:45 a.m. The Old Bailey, Independence Newspaper. Also, another reason why I pretty much like, I firmly believe that Great Journey takes place, particularly in the 1890s, because the period from when Sherlock Holmes was active was from the 1880s until the 1900s. Oh, look, it's the Bobbies and consoles. Oh, thank goodness. We're in time. There's still 15 minutes until the trial begins. I never knew horse-drawn cars could go so fast. I thought my teeth were going to try loose. Trust me, I played Assassin's Creed Syndicate. They can go faster. Did you hear what I said to the driver when we climbed aboard? Get us to our destination in 5 minutes, driver. And there's a guinea in it for you. It's one of my favorite lines from the Sherlock Holmes stories, and it worked quite perfectly. I'm not sure why you're so pleased. I thought we were going to die, and we had to pay gold for the privilege. Well, at least we arrived here before the trial started. Yes, I suppose there's that. Anyway, I don't understand it. The court clerk said the defendant should be here, but there's no sign of him at all. So this is the Old Bailey. You're in this room with dependents to wait in his grant. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? I'm feeling tense, that's all. This place gives you the same sense of foreboding that I remembered from Speed Court in Japan. Well, that's what courts are meant to do. Oh, so that's why you had the armband now. A oppressive air. Almost as if the building itself is going to crush whoever is about to be sentenced. Feels like only yesterday I was the one about to be crushed. Yes, whoever the man you're to defend is, I imagine he's feeling very alone at this moment. Top of the morning to you, madam. Sir? Oh no, we're defending Willy Wonka! What are you doing following me here? Things are very desperate, are they? Sorry? Would you look at those expressless faces? From the east, are you? We're from Japan. Yes. Ah, Japan, is it? Right, say no more. So, how much do you need? No, we're just here because... No need to explain, fella. I've been there myself, so I have. No place to go, nothing to eat, very a penny to your name, and all while in a strange faraway land. Well, actually, we haven't found a place to stay yet, no. 'Tis grand, 'tis grand. Let me start by giving you 1,000 guineas. Say nothing now. 1,000 guineas? Please, Mr. Sato, you don't have to shout. But 1,000 guineas is... It's not to build an entire mansion in the most prestigious area of Tokyo. What? 'Tis nothing to me at all. I like to ensure I have sufficient funds to weather a rainy day, you see. I have enough wealth to buy the city of London 2 or 3 times over. Could that much rain even fall in one day? Yes, it can. Well, even so, we couldn't possibly accept such a large sum of money. Ah, that hit me in the eye. Don't get me wrong, fella. I'm not giving it to you no strings attached. I'll be wanting you to do something for me. Oh? To be honest, it's a little embarrassing. The trial that's about to begin, you see, is for me good self here. I'll be in the dock. So now, what I want you to do is come along with me and stand there beside me. Officially, you'd be my lawyer, but that's just a little detail now. Oh, well, the thing is, don't worry about the thing. All you have to do is stand up there next to me. Nothing more. Otherwise, you see, the trial's going to start without me having any kind of representation at all. So it was true. The Lord Chief Justice wasn't just making it all up. I'm terribly sorry to have to ask, but does that mean you're the defendant in this trial? Blustering blazes, do you not know who I am? Me, one of London's biggest names. No, sorry. We've only just arrived in the city, you see. Oh, god damn it. The accent's bleeding into my Narunosuke accent as well. I see. I suppose it ain't altogether impossible. Well, just next to Hyde Park there in the center of London is another beautiful park. Sorry? A park? What? It's called McGilded Park. Full of blossoming flowers in the spring and singing birds and whatnot. I was intending an Irish accent for this one, but it ended up being Scottish. Was it Welsh? I donated to the city, yes I did. An entire park in central London. A city that smiles. That's my vision for London. There's nothing Magnus McGirded wouldn't... Okay, it is Scottish, I'm right then. There's nothing Magnus McGirded wouldn't do for the city and its square old people. I'd like to see Scrooge McDucks try and outbid me with that one. The old geezer. That's amazing. I mean, really extraordinary. But now they got the goal to say I'm a good-for-nothing criminal. Me, Magnus McGirded. What is the matter with the London police, I ask ya? Yeah. Alright, don't pass out. Mr. Naruhodo, perhaps now would be a good time to introduce ourselves while the gentleman catches his breath. The accent keeps bleeding. I hate it. That's another because again my natural accent is somewhat British. Mr. McGilded, the thing is, we're actually here in London to study British law. We're law students on a study trip in Japan, you see. So, if you don't have a lawyer for the trial yet, and you'd be happy to put yourself in our hands, we'll do our best. What was I after saying, you damn idiot? I've given you 1,000 guineas to stand up there next to me, haven't I? Well, yes, but I wasn't really offering to just stand up there next to you. Oh, I think I see what's going on here. Sorry? I know what you're thinking. This Chancellor Bella claims to have more money than the Queen. But if that's true, why the blessings can't he hire the finest lawyer in all of England? Because he did it. That's the only explanation. Well. Not at all. Not at all. Although, it is a little strange to be honest. Why you don't have a lawyer, I mean. That would be the fault of the Reaper. Sorry? Did you just say Reaper? Aye, the Grim Reaper of the Belly. Lord Baron von Six. He's the prosecutor. The prosecutor is the Grim Reaper. When Van Six stands for the prosecution, they call the accused his sacrificial lambs. And what's there? In every single trial we see in the words of prosecutor, the accused has been damned. What? So it reached a desperate situation. But there's no one willing to stand in defense against the fella at all. You know, I might end up just having to use my normal voice for both Ryunosuke and Susato. Just so I can actually, like, you know, keep some semblance. You could say he's a living legend of the Old Bailey. goodness. Lord Baron von Sieves. He must be an exceptionally talented prosecutor then. Talented is the word you're looking for, madam. It's cursed. Cursed? What on earth? The defendant is summoned, and his counsel. Please make your way into the courtroom. The trial is about to begin. His counsel. See, this is what I don't like. We wasted 15 minutes when we could have basically hashed out. Asked the defendant for his name, where was he, who was the victim, the details, so I can actually have some evidence to present. That'll be me. Oh, this time. Verden Pera, don't let me down. But I don't know anything about the case. You haven't told me what happened. Until you saw your face here, I made up my mind, so I had... Sorry? I decided I'd have to defend myself in there. How would that have worked? But then you made an appearance. A student of law, wouldn't you know? He's so excellent, I can assure you of that. His fate? Why, bless my bagpipes! So don't get called Pete now, please. I see know nothing about the case, or about this man who stands accused. In fact, the only thing I do know is that I can't just turn my back on him. Prisoner Hodo. The man has no one. He'll have to stand alone in that courtroom, armed with nothing to defend himself. Yes. Something that Kasa would never have allowed to happen. Counsel for the defense, what are you doing? If you're late for that start of the trial, you'll lose your right to stand. I'll be right there. It's happening then. My first trial in the British court. I hope you're watching over me, Kasama. Because I have no idea how I'm going to manage this. February 10th a.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. There's the jury. So this is the highest court in Great Britain, the Old Bailey. The centuries of history in this place is palpable, isn't it? It's so different to the Supreme Court in Japan. It feels both imposing and serene at the same time. I'm wondering why the Supreme Court in Japan wasn't that old. It's because like it was really a Meiji era invention. Before, the law was usually dealt by the warlords and pretty much like the emperor himself, if it came to that point. But that was it. It feels both imposing and serene at the same time. The atmosphere almost makes words redundant. Whatever the country, determining a person's guilt or innocence is always a solemn affair. May I say something, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes. What? Your eyes look ready to pop out of your head again. I know, but I just can't help it. Vampire. In the name of Her Majesty, the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are here today to determine the guilt or innocence of Mr. Magnus MacGilded. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and the defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is fully prepared. That must be the Reaper to Bailey. He really does look fully prepared to dispatch his next poor victim to the underworld. Counsel for the defense, you appear to be Eastern. Do you speak English? My word! Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. But he asked if the defense was ready. I couldn't be further from ready if I tried. Those eyes please me, Nipponese. They shroud your fear, your doubt, your trepidation. They run wild, clinging to some phantom notion of courage. The quintessential look of a sacrificial lamb. A cold shiver just ran down my spine, all the way to the tips of my toes. Now, Mr. McGilded. Yes, my lord. You stand accused of murder, a capital offense. You could be sent to the gallows if found guilty. Are you quite sure you wish to entrust your defense to this foreigner? As I've always said, my lord, it's a grand thing to give opportunities to the young, even if the fella is a student from some little island of the Far East. Is it not the British way to ignore the dangers to yourself and give those less fortunate a fair chance? I'd like to think that acts of chivalry do the great British Empire proud. Listen to Magnus McGilded, what a fine gentleman London has in him. Did you hear he donated 5,000 pounds to the government the other day? Mother, please, may we go and play in the McGilded Park? Seems though everyone in the public gallery is firmly behind Miss McGilded. That's definitely welcome news, and he certainly has a way with words. I'm surprised he couldn't convince anyone to defend him. Eloquently put, Mr. McGilded, and most laudable sentiments. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm sure I need hardly remind you that you 6 members for the public have been selected for your impartiality. Are you ready to proceed? Oh no, I had to voice each of them. Ah! Yes, my lord. If the chance is to send rottenness to the gallows, where they belong, I'm more than ready. At the manor, his lordship always says we should dispose of rubbish promptly. Naturally, I agree. Ha! Any criminals here will still be wishing they never set eyes on me. I'm not gonna remember any boys' day out, so I'm just gonna assume. I feel a chill. Don't mind me, my dears. I'll just be getting on with my knitting. Must finish these meats for my grandson. Ah, Miss Naruhodo, those people are the jury. Yes, that's something we don't have in Japan yet. That's right. I've only read about it. Here in Great Britain, the court's final verdict depends on the opinions of these 6 jurors. Which, you know, should be random, not really a set juror, because, like, if the jurors are pretty much, like, set for every, like, you know, trial, the same people, there's higher risk of them being, like, you know, being influenced or, like, you know, cursed or, you know, deals. The judge passes sentence according to the law, but the jurors determine guilt based on common sense. So the defendant is ultimately judged on 2 completely different points of view. But how exactly did the jurors give their verdict? That I don't know, but I'm sure it will become clear as the trial progresses. Yes. Prosecutor Bond 6. My lord. It's been a number of years since we've seen you here in the courtroom. I thought you renounced your fame. I am known as the Reaper of the Bailey, my lord. Infamy rather than fame, I would say. But yes, 5 years have passed since I last spread my wings in this capacity. So, what brings you back? Is there some change of circumstance of which the court should be aware? I leave that to your imagination, my lord. So the Reaper has been out of action for 5 years. Why did he have to choose today of all days to make a comeback? Don't lose heart, Miss Naruhodo. As you wish, sir. The court nevertheless welcomes your return. Now then, opening statements, I think. A summary of the case, if you please. Certainly, my lord. As your lordship is aware, this is a case of overwhelming simplicity. You must be the only ones in here who aren't aware. The incident took place in the late evening. 3 days pass. The hour was some minutes after 10. The victim was a maker of breathing bricks, known as in the community as thrice-fired mason. Sorry, thrice? He was a very accomplished craftsman. The bricks he fired were said to be almost indestructible. The victim's corpse was discovered in an omnibus in service of the streets of London at the time. A dagger that had been thrusted into the victim's abdomen is believed to be the ultimate cause of death. Here is the autopsy report from the investigating medical officer at Scotland Yard. Thank you, counsel. I shall set that and the photograph as evidence. Wow, color photograph, how advanced. And one further item of evidence. The prosecution wishes to submit these as well. And these are... Good lord, is that blood, counsel? Yes, my lord. Seized by a policeman who had arrived on the scene. These gore-soaked gloves were taken from the hands of the accused when he was arrested. What? Mr. McGillis' gloves had blood on them? Yes, I will accept these as evidence as well. How did I get into this? Right, so what we always do, examine the reports. So, okay. Okay, so crime scene photograph. This is what we're gonna sound though. This is definitely blood, isn't it? Not the most pleasant sight to be confronted with on our first day in London. Well, nothing will come of grumbling now. No. By the way, is Mr. McGilded right-handed? Yes. I believe... he was toying with a coin in his right hand a little earlier. Ha, pity, if only he'd been left-handed. I think blood on either glove would be fairly incriminating, really. Nothing under the gloves. Anything in the sides? No. Okay, we can't really sand much, it's clear cut. Back in the corner where I even started. Continuing. According to the driver of the omnibus, there were only 2 passengers traveling inside his vehicle at the time. Only 2? Obviously, one of those passengers was the deceased, brickmaker Mr. Mason. The other was the accused Magnus McGilded. Well, rather damning circumstances to say the least. Dependent, what say you? Well, of course I have no recollection of such a thing. Mr. McGilded. To be sure, I rode the omnibus that evening, but whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness and I always succumb to it. Are you claiming to have been asleep? Tis the motion of the carriage, my lord. Little thing so it is, so when I opened my eyes again, it was a desperate sight before me. The body of a man I never laid eyes before on my life. Now I ask you, what a good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to have a fella bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about my gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand. So the blood got onto the gloves then after the man had been killed. Unfortunately, that statement of the drivers is only the beginning. What? The orbit? There are multiple witnesses to the precise moment at which the victim was fatally stabbed. Order! Oh, sorry, it has to do this way. Order! 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 When the killing took place, only the victim and the accused were inside the carriage, and there were witnesses to the crime. This is not just a case of compelling evidence. It's the nail in the coffin for the accused. Thank you, Counsel. The circumstances of the crime have been made quite clear. I think we will hear testimony from these witnesses first of all. Your wish is my command. Bailiff, bring the witnesses in at once. Oh, we're in 3 at once. Very well. Oh, fuck's sake. Well, I have my plethora of British accents, whatever. Witnesses, your names and occupations. My name is, well, everyone calls me Beppo. I drive an omnibus in the East End. Bruce Fairplay. I'm a banker in the city. My name's First. Lady First. I make hats for gents. Let's begin by confirming the facts. 3 days ago, at a short time after 10 o'clock in the evening, all of you present in the stand were an omnibus and witness to the aforementioned incident. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Quite right. Yes, sir. That's right, sir. Very well, then. Let's proceed to your formal testimonies, please. Each of you will tell the court precisely what you saw. What was saw? We had to pay attention to their body movements as well. It was last Thursday evening, so I had few customers. I remember it well. The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus. Then out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts. That's right. He stabbed him. I screamed, I did. Couldn't help it. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus. And then I saw it too. An ambiguous testimony, I must say. Exactly, my lord. These men witnessed the incident in the omnibus with their own eyes. I'd like to ask a question, if I may. Yes, counsel. Well, this testimony makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Why not? Well, the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it? As has been clearly stated at the outset, yes. Well, in that case, how could those two witnesses possibly have seen what happened? There's no way they could have seen the inside of the moving carriage. How quaint. I read that civilization in the Eastern Island nations was a good century behind our own. But you're in London yourself, yet you're really so ignorant about our omnibuses? Huh? Tell me, my Nipponese friend, have you even traveled in an omnibus? Well, no. We only arrived in London this morning. No matter. I've arranged for us all to see for ourselves the actual scene of the crime, that is. What do you mean? The actual scene? How? A carriage is designed to be moved, after all. Presumably you understand that much. Yes. The omnibus is which the bloody crime took place is here today, in this very building. Here? What? The entire carriage? Bailiff. Bring forth the stricken omnibus. Okay, they took it apart per parts. So it's like, no. That's not how it works. The doors are big, yes, but not that big. So that's an omnibus. The omnibus. I can't believe they could bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing. As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses and can carry up to 8 passengers. 4 passengers seated inside in the enclosed cabin, and another 4 on the rooftop deck above. Every Londoner knows that the best views of the city architecture and sights are to be had from the top of the omnibus. And I should point out to our foreign guests that there is a skylight in the roof, allowing a view of the interior from the seats above. Ah, a skylight. Oh! The penny drops at last, I see. These 2 gentlemen were occupying the rooftop seats on this omnibus when the murder took place. That is how they came to witness the grim incident. Through the skylight. That makes perfect sense. Well, Counsel, this is a first. In all my years behind the bench, I experienced the crime scene itself being brought into the courtroom. There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage, my lord. I would like to submit the omnibus itself as evidence. That is the prosecutor's wish. Very well. I see no reason why not. This omnibus is hereby formally accepted as evidence. I can't believe it. The entire crime scene entered as evidence. Yes, Great Britain is simply extraordinary. I could help myself a lot by giving that omnibus a thorough examination, seeing as it's here. Right, let's view the omnibus first. Okay, door. Well, let's open the door and go inside, shall we? Scene of a murder. It's horrible. Okay, so there's blood. That's blood that's soaking into the seat. The victim's obviously. Yes, and that seat would be clearly visible from the roof deck. Would you really stab somebody in full view of the other passengers like that, I wonder? Well, it was at the dark. And there was a lamp on in here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see anything outside to the skylight. So the way you look at it, it doesn't seem like it was a planned attack. Ah, that's a poster for the great exhibition that's due to start 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exposition. Wait, hang on. Crystal Tower. That's an allusion to the Crystal Palace, isn't it? But that was in the 1850s. Well, then again, they did hold symposiums more at the palace because it existed until the 80s, so it could have worked. But the Crystal Palace became more like the Gardenium, though. People all over London must be busy with excitement at the prospect of such a grand event. Nothing there. Ah, that's supposed to be create extended students 600. Okay, that's the same thing. This seat has a handle, it seems. Hello. Chest. This looks like all sorts of equipment that might be needed to keep the omnibus running. Peeling tubs, tools to repair the wheels, blankets, horseshoeing tools. So there's a storage compartment with a coaster to keep his things, it seems. There doesn't seem to be any space for passengers to store their luggage, that's for sure. Well, I don't imagine it would be very convenient for that purpose anyway. Check that part. It's quite a large skyline, isn't it? Yes, quite large enough to afford a good view into the cabin from the roof deck. Doesn't appear to be a handle or a catch or any description. But I suppose it can be opened from the inside the cabin at least. Okay, so let's check the outside then. This is a Easter egg, by the way. Phoenix Wright Omnibus. Hello, Handle. You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin, so I'm sure the witnesses would have been able to quite clearly. That's not good for us. Pray don't expect this Nipponese stray to understand the intricacies of a brisk cross-examination's rights. Alright, my first cross-examination at British court. Focus, Ryunosuke. Focus! The only thing I wish for the game is that make the text even more faster. Even at like max like speed, it's like it's still slow. It's Tad, you say, and you were sitting up on the roof deck, were you? Yes, that's right, sir. I was up on the roof seats.
Excuse me.
If I may, Mr. Fairplay, what are you prosecuting for now? That last statement appears to have given you pause for thought. Not really. By the way, you always seem to be looking to the side, one way or the other. Do I have some affliction? Not really. He's not really willing to say anything, it seems. It's none of your business, anyhow.
Hold it!
What exactly did you see? It said that with the passenger, sir. Yes, collapsed to the floor he was.
Excuse me.
If I may, Mr. Fairplay, what are you prosecuting for now? Okay, I must have missed it then. A little back.
Hold it!
You actually saw the exact moment it happened? Very satisfied with that. Oh, a pair of dinkum hard-working city bankers not considered trustworthy these days. Oh no, I didn't mean that. This is not good. I really got his back up. Perhaps you could just tell us what you saw in a little more detail, that's... My lord. Juror number 3. What's the meaning of this? My mind is made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up. Made up about what? I don't like the stinking Ritz. Never have. They're always up to something or other than they shouldn't be. Every one of them. And that little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, he can't fool me. There's no point wasting time listening to any more of this. That's my opinion on the matter anyway. Let's try and avoid that.
Hold it!
See the little gent sitting next to the fellow that was stabbed. A grim sight indeed. Ah, there we go. But they're even more convinced by client date than they were before. That appears to have made everyone even more dubious of Miss McGill telling the truth. If only we had some evidence to counter the suspicions. Mr. First. Oh, yes, sir. Is this the knife? This all? Good grief, yes, that's it. The very one, sir. Is that? Yes, Counsel. This is the blade that was driven into the victim's belly like a stake to the heart. It's a blade of considerable size, Counsel. It is, and furthermore, the scabbard is emblazoned prominently with a certain initial. Letter M, which seems oddly familiar. Please, no. M, for Magnus, perhaps, or McGilded, possibly. Take your pick. It seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mistake.
Objection!
But there are M's everywhere, like in Mason.
Objection!
Son. This blade is far too extravagant for a poor brickmaker to have owned. No, this weapon of murderers almost certainly belongs to the accused. Not conclusive, but certainly compelling, Counsel. I guess he'll either feel like we'll can't do that anyways. What is happening here? Let me see. Ah yes, it seems that's how the members of the jury give their verdicts. With fire? Apparently, yes. White for innocent and black for guilty. As the six of the jury make up their minds about the case, one by one they each cast a ball of fire into the great scales of justice, as we saw a moment ago. So if those north scales fall completely to the black side, does that mean... Let's do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen. Now I'm even more worried than I was before. Very well. The court acknowledges the change in the jury's stance. Counsel of the defense, please continue with your cross-examination. It's a nightmare.
Hold it!
I need to examine it. That part is the seat, isn't it? Are you alright, Mr. Naruto? Huh? Oh, I'm sorry, yes. I just really like blades. Oh, those don't seem like the ways of a man with a large katana slung from his waist. That's not a blade, that's Cosmo's soul. Anyway, there's no sense in delaying it. Let's see what the blade looks like. That looks a lot like blood. It really is blood. The victims. I think this one's blood looks a lot like Japanese man's blood. Do you think it wouldn't? Sorry, just that we only just arrived here in Great Britain. Find it a little hard to adjust. Yes, I do understand. Went into the M. And then Mr. Mendes giving us so. Or it could be a W. this M. If you turn it upside down, it becomes a W, which contains everything. A W? Yes, this is one of those, turnabout cases. Observe it. I'm afraid I don't know at all. But what I am sure of is that this is an N. Oh, well, the idea was quickly quashed. Check the history. What? My lord, if you'll forgive the interruption. Oh great, I got both, aren't they? Mr. McGill is a pillar of society and a gentleman. A gentleman's word should be sacrosanct. However, those of us in service know we must accept hard truths. Wait, what are you about to... Dispose of the rubbish. No. I don't wish to cause offense, but I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and crime. I have painstakingly typed everywhere to update and cross-reference all the facts. As such, I am now in a position to draw out the only logical conclusion. Not again. That's 4 out of 6 dreamers who propose a guilty verdict. There are only 2 left. You've had it. Every time I press this witness for more information, it just makes the situation worse. Nevertheless, what we need more than anything at the moment is more information. We're still very much in the dark. We just have to keep pressing the witnesses, knowing that more sparks may just well fly. But... Alright, I'll keep trying. Can't give up. Just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again. Alright, so when it happened, 30 people in the close carrying area were the victim and the defendant. And, so help me, 3 whole people with this span are trying to help it. I don't like to be pessimistic, but we do seem to be in a rather difficult situation here. How am I supposed to continue here? Think it really innocent? Or could it be... Before we jump to conclusions, surprise us we can, please. I don't like this. I mean, we fought against the odds before, but like still. I don't think for a second that the trial's gonna end anytime soon. This is only part 1 after all. Or we could just crown the trial today. But we go to the limit. Right, I think the one we didn't press was the fifth statement.
Hold it!
What else had you see? Order! Order! So I'm skipping a bit, I just want to be done with this.
Hold it!
Yes, I think it was sometime after 10, wasn't it? Oh yes, sir. That's right, sir. Yes, it's called. It was freezing, sir. Freezing impact. And you had 4 passengers on board at the time. Is that correct? Yes, that's right, sir. Not all traveling the same parts of the bus, of course. No. And there were no other passengers when the incident took place. No one alerted, for example. You're quite right with that, sir. No other passengers like that. No, none. So no people at the scene of the crime then. I had to say the bus is running. That's everything. The last bus of the day. But I do want to send this altogether worthwhile. Yes, sorry to say. What do you mean by that? But with it being so cold and everything, and only making 20 pence in the run, you see? Yes, I spent that much at the pub on the way home, just trying to warm up again. That first statement was worthless.
Hold it!
I think I got an out of order. There we go. My lord, I was freak. Yes? Yes, you're number 5. Do I get that you too? As the master of the London Guild of Coachmen, the idea of a murder being committed in one of the city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. It wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all the facts, though, I says to myself. But I've heard enough now. The horse is bolted, as they say. No, please, just keep an open mind until... Key up now, Superbase. The piece is at height. This now means the 5 jurors agree to condemn this man. Madame Juror number 6. Yes, dear. What can I do for you? You have heard the testimonies of the witnesses in the stand. Oh yes, I certainly have. Still got my hearing, you know. Then pray tell where are you to announce your leaning? Let's do this, please. Well, dear, the thing is I'm a creature of habit, me.
I always go to the park at around this time of day and sit on a nice bench and get on with my knitting. There's a lovely little park just near where I live, Mercated Park, it's called. Generated the city, you know, to put a smile on Londoners' faces, he said.
How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know? What kind of a man Magnus McGilded really is? What kind of a man is he? The philanthropist Magnus McGilded has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did all that wealth come from? Your client is a Shylock, sir, and one with the very darkest of souls.
What? Storm the crows?
McGilded lends money at extortionate rates of interest so his victims have no hope of repaying him. When they default, he takes possession of everything they own. He is a vulture that preys on the weak.
I'd never heard any mention of that before.
Your faculties haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madam. So has this thought not crossed your mind? Will a man wealthy enough to buy London entirely not have a carriage of his own? What possible reason could this man have had to make a use of a public omnibus service?
You're not saying that.
The victim, a poor brickmaker, had next to nothing to his name save considerable financial liability. It will come as no surprise that his creditor was the accused, Magnus McGilded. But let it also be known that the very day Mr. Mason was killed was the final repayment date for his debts.
Good gracious!
The brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. And in the end, this pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him, his life. By the merciless philanthropist pretender, Magnus McGilded.
I don't believe it. If I might add something briefly. You claim that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGilded, but where's the evidence to support your claim?
And here's the wine that's always been memed about. Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice in a court of law.
Aha! There it is! Lord Banshee's hallowed chalice!
How this is acceptable? But I find myself in unexpectedly good humor. I had heard ladies in the Far East could show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself.
As a citizen defense, I am simply doing my job.
What a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is the debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You will find the victim's name clearly recorded inside.
Oh.
Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. And pray forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice in a toast to the enigmatic East at the same time.
A marvelous toast, Counsel. I will gladly accept this new evidence. Ah yes, 20 guineas, to be a considerable sum.
And the accused made quite certain he had ample recompense.
Well, it would seem I've had the wool pull over my eyes.
Regrettably, madam, that is the modus operandi of the accused.
Yes, it's a pretty little part too. What a scoundrel. Still, maybe it's all for the best. Wait a minute. I don't stand for nonsense.
That was it. Last year's decision.
Ah, currency. Where's the corpse is suspended? That's what it says here. Oh, there's a footnote though. However, the defense. Allow me to convey my respect for your swift and righteous decision. According to the laws of this country, I will now conclude the trial by delivering my final verdict. I trust there are no objections. Sato, just tell me one thing. Oh, yes? You're in the middle of saying something before. To put on your singing, however, it depends. What did it say next? Oh, yes. Yes, of course. When all members of the jury declared to guilty, corpse is suspended. Then the footnote says, however, it depends. Has the right to demand a summation of the jurors at this point. Summation.
Objection!
A summation examination? From which century has that tomb have there been resurrected? Ah! Judging from the binding, I would say the book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such an antiquated procedure a mention. It's a relic, long forgotten and certainly no longer practiced. So you're out of luck. Oh. What even is it, Mrs. Sato? This so-called summation examination. Oh, well, I'll now read about it. You would demand the right to a procedure before you even understand what it entails? Typical Nipponese. Or, Mr. I don't understand. It seems that under the procedure, we will able to appeal to the members of the jury. To do what, exactly? Appeal to them to change their leaning and reverse the decisions. It says here that if successful, the proceedings to trial must be resumed. Make them reverse their decisions. Yes, in times gone by, barristers would use a summation examination to attempt to influence the jury's decision. But that procedure has become something more of a morality with no practical benefit really, so rather fell out of use. I wonder why. Because it was devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone several. No self-revealing defense barrister would even assert his right to try in this day and age. Still, I don't see any mention of procedure actually being formally revoked. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that although it may be antiquated and partially forgotten, it is an saying, welcome to British law, where most laws have been antiquated but not extinct. What do you think, Miss Naruhodo? Assert our right. Because we can't, if we don't, we just feels like we'll lose. The defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination, my lord.
Objection!
London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very highest standards of judicial procedure. Summation examinations are an embarrassment that should remain buried.
Objection!
But if it's our right, it's our right. I believe it could prove vital in this trial. The defense's petition is perfectly valid. The court shall proceed with the summation examination. This is madness. No, this is London. Foreman, are you and the remainder of the jury ready? I'm not, there was no mention of this in the letter, I see, so... All members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached their decision. On what grounds? You must all justify your decisions and explain why you believe the defendant to be guilty. Well, you're rather putting us on the spot. If this is most irregular, no mention was made of this before. I don't really hold with all this justifying luck. I seem to have thrown the jurors up. Seems on the experiences before. Alright then, this amazing examination. Well, this it might be the opportunity will be made for turn this trial around. So be it then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. The court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant, Magnus McGilton, guilty of this most serious crime. You know, I always feels like the jury system had stuck around in history games. Because Great History showed juries can work. There was no one else beside the carrot at the time, so there has to have been him. I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems, for passengers, with fares totaling 20 pence. It's such a chap next to him like this. Based I must say, absolutely brazen. I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far, and drawn the logical conclusions. You can trust the guild, bear present our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence per use. The scoundrel saying that poor man on the floor, it beggars belief. I'm starting to be saying close first now. Some people still seem to want to be formed arguments though, do they? Well, that's what we can do. We did get 6 people take hands. Random. Just want that though. For the vote, that's quite how it works. Oh? Thought I was going to have a thought on answer the tongue. Fortunately, once the jurors have decided Ben is guilty, they're not likely to hear anything that the bench says. But then, their research conclusions by their own reasons you please will sound like excuses. In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become. What am I supposed to do? Oh dear, I'm just citing what I read about British law, Miss Naruhodo. Right, I'm sorry. Where's work then? Well, from what I can understand, the key to this procedure is using the jurors' own words to make your arguments. What do you mean? Well, the 6 members of the jury are randomly selected members of the public, so it is randomly done. They may appear to present a united front, but the truth is, they are complete strangers who just happen to find themselves here in the courtroom together. And that's the way to break them down, you mean? Yes, exactly. We must listen very carefully to what each member of the jury says, and see if we can identify any contradictory statements. If we can then contrast the statements and pit the corresponding jurors against each other. I see. It's simply the regular crossover. Oh, yes, I suppose you're right. What? Can we start proceedings, Counsel? I would ask you to take the stand for this. I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal. Yes, my lord. Okay, so I already saw contradiction. It was 2 and 5.
Objection!
Those 2 statements clearly contradict each other. They do. Explain yourself, Counsel. Oh dear, what have I said? I suppose you explain a name. I haven't had first idea what you're talking about. According to the group testimony we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the night in question. And according to the coastman, Miss Rebel, he took 20 pence in pairs. Quite right. I had those precise details I typed neatly here in front of me. And juror number 5 also tells us the following. The fare for the omnibus is always 4 pence. That it is, a fair and convenient single price, just the way Longest carriages should be operated. But that doesn't add up at all. In fact, it leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts. Why, man, why? 4 passengers paying 4 pence each. If you do the multiplication, it would be 16 pence. It means there was a 5th person there. Exactly, as I said, it doesn't add up. Because they can only see the person in front through the skylight. They can see the other seat. Figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact. Or precisely 1 person's fare. 1 person's fare? Yes. In other words, on the omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible there was another passenger we heard nothing about. Good gracious. This can't be right. The coast of the guild are good honestmen once and all. Trustworthiness is how it was right. The figures your coastman claims most certainly do not add up. Your what's right, good sir, is a fallacy. I beg your pardon. Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if this trial were to end now, the news will surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coastmen tried to hide the fact that he let nefarious characters ride his omnibus. Alright then, how'd I make it this trial doesn't end, Well, according to my book here, you simply launch a ball of fire into the innocent side of the set of scales. Now hold your horses there, Coastman. We were all in agreement. Why do you... Wait till I get my hands on you, Beppo. That's London for you. You don't have friends in London. It's London. It's not gonna be that friendly. Very irritating. Begging your pardon, sir. I'm going to do the same. For the love of Mike, not you as well. A penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exacting standards in financial matters. Oh, really? I, for one, think it's only proud that we hear from the witnesses again. Oh, well done, Mr. Nahodo, you did it. If you can manage to change 2 more jurors' minds, you can force the trial to continue. 2 more, actually. There is something else bothering about the couple of their assertions. Then that's where we must strike next. Exactly. You can do it. Well, the scales of justice have tilted, but they still weighed heavily on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue your examination. That's like a mouthful. Examination. Okay, we'll press 3. Was it 3? And... yes, 6.
Objection!
Those 2 statements are completely contradictory. What? Explain, Castle. Both haste. Oh dear me, I was only knitting a jumper for my other half. What is all this claptrap? What does contradictory even mean, I ask you? We've heard from more than one witness that they allegedly sought the actual moment when the defendant stand the victim. Now, out of curiosity, jury number 3. What? Can you see I'm busy here? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it? How? Want to test me, do you? It was like this. Struck the pedal next to him without even getting up. That's what the pin banker said. Yes, that's what Mr. Playface's testimony. Quite true. Now then, jury number 6. Oh, is that me, is it? What can I do for you, young man? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madam? Oh, well, dear, as far as I understand it, it was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so. Now don't move. Take a look at these 2 jurors. He struck the fellow next to him without even getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. Well, I never. There. They're stabbing in totally different directions. What? Oh, bless my stitches, what a muddle. What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth. Oh, but why? What ridiculous would they lie? I don't know that yet, but what I do know is that the trial ends at this point. We never find out, we may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all good conscience? Lies, you say? Oh dearie me. I can't abide people telling lies. The scales. I don't believe it. Hold it. Wait. Now hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him in his black suit seats. If I could use magic, do you think I'd be pulling myself through all this? Answer me this dark jinx. Huh? Oh, me? What exactly is the problem? Well, the 2 degrees have slightly different recollections to the events. Well, up it, let's say the child did stab the witness who sat next to him on the albus. This young guy saw him do it. And now let's say the witness glanced at the floor and then the child stabbed him again. It's all they sounded. Well, let's say it didn't happen like that, What are you calling a dandy, sir? Why has to take this knife to you? What are you calling old? Why has to take this needle to you? Okay, we need to. But could the former jury be right? The 2 of the witnesses. It's out the question. Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman. What is it, you dark jinx? Come on, out with it. What you're saying is impossible. It's out the question. What? What are you talking about? Talking about that? You do that. I'm only going to do my job. I just want to do the right. So, where's your evidence, man? That's what I see. It takes two witnesses on two different moments, the same crime. I say take that out of the question, show me some proof. Hard evidence. As you wish. What? I'll give you the proof. Is that the moment?
Take that!
This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen. Only once. Only once? It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely one time. Which means these witnesses can't possibly have seen it happen two different times. Alright, I can see the feet. Alright, I can see the feet. Wait, that means 4 jurors are now leaning to not guilty. You've done it, Mr. Naroda. Wait, what? What are you playing at, you dandy fool? Shut up your traps, sir. No one deceives me. But we had a consensus. I said shut your trap. I know a liar when I see one. And the chap even dares across the threat of my shop. I'll take this razor-sharp blade and save every ass hair of his head. Please tell me it's a barber. Well, in quite a remarkable turn of events, the defense's amazing examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there's no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to adjudicate, and the trial must continue. I hereby ask the defense, prosecution, and witnesses to return to their places, and I call upon all of you to continue to pursue the truth. You know what? Screw it. Let's keep at it. I'm not tired. I'm amped up and ready to go. I love this game. So, Lord Van Six, continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution, if you please. Here we go again. Having savored this rich aroma with a calming contest with hallowed chalice, it may seem crass to crush it to dust. Pray forgive the discourtesy. Lord Van Six! It's calling sir just me. As your antiquated tome no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during a summation examination. So I honor the deathly silence and listen to the charade. It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. Well, no matter. There's something so hard to prove a self-evident truth, it would seem. No, and why else would we grace a courtroom with our presence at all? So, let's proceed to the next round of battle. Bring forth the witnesses once more. Witnesses, I trust you've heard the examination we have just had to endure. Oh, yes, sir. That I did, sir. Of course I heard it. Oh, yes, sir. I heard it. You, sir, on the end, the coachman. I believe it's Beppo. Yes, sir, my lord, sir. If it transpires that in your previous testimony, you were attempting to veil the presence of a picked passenger on your omnibus, you will be found guilty of perjury. Lagas, a court that actually follows the law. This is why I love Grace Attorney. It's not like Ace Attorney. It actually makes sense. You are advised to bear that in mind, sir. Me a deal. Now then, witnesses, I hereby call on you to testify before the court again. You will explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense subnation examination. I only carry 4 passengers tonight. I swear it, but, well, I've almost... Yeah, my voice is like dying a bit, so I just gonna skip it. Well, I'll read it out loud during the cross-examination. The Phantom Fifth Thatcher continues assisted by my learned disciplinary assistant. The confusion that arises from the coachman's sly little consonants. Pepper, explain yourself. I'm sorry, Guildmaster. The guild spares poor pets across the board, you know that? You might understand that you've been overcharging our passengers by a penny a pair. It's so cold, and the last of the days always have empty. You have been dishonest, coachman. Sorry. You're a disgrace, Pepper, a disgrace. Your service actions have brought dishonor to the entire guild. If I may, sir, I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week. What? 4 passengers at 5 pence each is just 20 pence. No, please. Well. Absolutely. Can't wait to wipe your smile off your face, Band 6.
Hold it!
So, there are only 4 passengers on your cards, but you didn't charge them the standard 4 pence fare. Is that right? Is it possible to make the last round of the day to pay? It was so cold, it was all I could do to stop myself passing out. I'm getting chill being such to you. It was terrible, so I want to give myself a pat on the back for even keeping the bus running. It was a dedicated coach who deserved an extra penny per passenger. You're digging a deeper hole for yourself here. Oh, there have been a pit passing with ominous at night. Then we have another suspect. Okay, I think the 5th line was suspicious.
Hold it!
Earlier, you testified that you saw the moment when the defendant allergy stabbed the victim, didn't you? Oh yes, that's right. You said that the victim was on the floor and described the assailant holding the knife as in an ice pick grip. I suppose I might have, yes, put the cart before the horse, maybe. What's this? Well, I'm not quite sure about most of it, but I was riding the horse when I heard a scream from the seats of the roof deck. Oh, I suspect that was me, sir. That when I turned around, yes, I saw it. Through the skylight. The gentleman was on the floor and the knife was sticking out of the midship. That's right, yes, and the fellow holding the knife was a famous man, yes. So in short, you didn't see the moment the victim was stabbed at all. I really thought I did, but when I could go over it again in my head, no, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of the stabbing, did I?
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay? No, you listen to me. I know what you're thinking. You didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that? Eh? Are you asking me or telling me? It's getting flustered. I got to extract some new information from me by answering cleverly. Yeah, just kidding. Well, it is hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through a skylight on the top of an omnibus, that is. Peeping? I'm a Circle City banker, I'll have you know. And I know what I saw. I remember as clear as a ballad day. It was a grim scene, I don't mind telling you. Thank you, Mr. Pepley. Thank you, Mr. Pepley. Oh, excuse me for taking another call there, my lord. I would ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about what exactly you saw. Oh, I can do that, alright? Tell you how grim it was. Percent, yeah, kind of in hands, leather gloves.
Objection!
Blood-soaked hands. Well, I admit that soap might be laying it on the little tape, but anyway, there was any blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar. What? Here are the gloves worn by the dependent Mr. McGill did on the night in question. Oh, yes, right. And there certainly does appear to be a sizable dark colored stain there, but as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-hand glove. In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent. But no, the copyright. So you're the liar here, then. That's right, you were quite clear about it. You said here it was both hands. Mr. Fairplay, if your last name was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed. But is that really the truth?
Objection!
It was a simple mistake. You can't justify it. Accusing this man of lying. Yes, it wasn't both hands, it was only one, but the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused.
Objection!
No, Mr. Fairplay correctly stated that he saw blood all over both hands, which means there's a strong possibility that this witness was literally trying to mislead the court. Gah! Why? I'm a city banker, for his sake. My words should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some guard type. Outstanding members of society don't prevaricate. Civilians had no reason to lie. Is that really the case? So now, hold up. We had some evidence to say my Mr. Fairplay might be lying. You could turn the tide on this trial completely. Let me check that. I didn't check the ledger before. This portfolio must contain all the secrets of London's gentry. Oh dear, didn't you identify well? As I wonder. Well, let's see what we find. Up, my camera is turning off, so I had to turn it off. So you had the content with me being stationary, but I want to see this trial to the end, so we're continuing. Gosh, this crap of James name. Ah, goodness! What is it? Look at this. You see the name here? Bruce Fairplay. I knew it was like connected. This Fairplay will testify in this very moment. There we go. My lords. Yes, counsel. The defense is ready to present evidence. By Job, are you sure? Yes, evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had reason to lie in his testimony. Grr! Very well. I hereby call on the defense to present its evidence. The evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness alleged deception of the court.
Take that!
This is a list of debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilded. Yes, a list of innocent victims scribbled by the accused extortion. The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay. What? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused? No, well, it's very worthy of being called a debt. According to this letter, you owe 20 guineas. Guineas? An inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say? Well of it. Let's suppose Mr. McGiddy were found guilty of murder. What will become of your debt in that case? These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor to depend here to be sentenced to capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist. Cease to exist? Mr. Fairplay, is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to seeing something you never in fact saw, in a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant? Gah! Ah! Order! Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Hang on, let me just restart my BC face. With my backup webcam, because we're doing this the long haul. The reason why I don't use this camera, even though it's like, it doesn't run out of battery, is maybe because like it's inconsistent. It tends to bug out a lot. Which is again annoying. That's why I don't use it that much often. I try to use it sparingly. It's not recognizing the camera. Yep, it's not seeing the camera. Try it again. Still not viewing my camera. It's not doing it at all. This is annoying me. I'm annoyed. Damn it! Oh. I'd rather not waste time on this. Isn't the camera working? Ugh. It's not doing anything at all. Fuck it. We'll just do it stationary then. We'll just do it stationary. Screw it. Sick. I hate this happens. Then now it's like I end up like. Then my Swiss character is like, you know, it's like. Now everything's broken. Oh, this is annoying me. Oh, now the camera shows. And that's why I don't change cameras during scene. I just stick to the one. Otherwise, it tends to be annoying. Sorry you had to see that. I'll disable it again. Fuck it. I'm on my other camera, but it's like, you can still see it, it'll be fine. There. My mouth's moving, so it's fine, so... And be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir. Ugh. Did you, or did you not, see the precise moment in time at which the defendant is alleged to thrust a knife into the victim? Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony. Alright, now let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth a pint, but it makes no difference. I remember seeing blood on McGilda's hands, both of them.
Objection!
And yet only one of the pen's gloves which we have here as evidence is stained. So you keep saying. I wonder if I'm allowed to speak, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Pierce. But the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself, as it happens. Seeing what? Blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think yes. I'm also it was on both of his hands, not just one. What? What? If you feel we're going to need further testimony from all you witnesses. This time, I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear? Yeah. What the? Good use. There was blood in both hands of the assailants. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you would say that I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired, if that matters. I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both the attack's hands with blood on them. I didn't actually see any myself, no, until I heard that scream. Anyway, the fact remains, there can't be anyone else inside the carriage, or else we all would see it. Well, lo and behold, the true fact none of my view was witnessed the crucial moment that the crime was perpetrated. I apologize, Lord, but honestly, there was someone else inside cabins. Good. That's really not what testimony is about. Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. Very well. Your cross-examination, please, counsel. Yes, my lord. At least this judge doesn't get swayed by the facts. It's actually impartial. Anyways, the only thing that was wrong here, when I could tell, was the fifth one. Because we did address this earlier. You can't see pretty much like the other side of that inside carriage. Press.
Hold it!
And everything you saw at the inside was true to Skylar the omnibus. That's right, it was seriously cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over. Oh yes, I remember it was simmering, it was so bitter. Which rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting in the roof deck in the first place. Well, I don't know about sound pillow, but I couldn't enter the cabin. Oh, why not? It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door. It was locked? That's right, it was probably Buster's sake, that's what I call fair play. That's exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the giant inside me just shrugged me off. So I had no choice but to climb up the roof deck and look down longingly into the warm cabin below. But I can assure you I was just looking down, I was glaring, long and hard. That is such a way I can tell you with absolute confidence that there was anyone else in the cabin, I would have noticed. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You were riding this omnibus. And with this you ventured the cabin to the skylights on the floor of the upper deck, is that right? That's right, yes. In that case, there is a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you. What? My golly, really? Obviously, at this stage, we can't say for sure, but the possibility cannot be denied that at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Objection!
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. The prosecution claims demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here in the place. Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's demand. You identified the area of this cross-sectional plan on the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that this potential extra passenger could have been situated?
Take that!
Both rows of seats on the roof face in the direction of travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other, which means the visible part of the cabin with passage on the roof that can see through the skylight is as I've drawn here. Ah! That's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite the one on which the victim and his attacker are sitting is obscured from view. In other words, the son had been sitting on that seat. It's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it. Grr.
Objection!
It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there. Your Nipponese have a purporting habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity. I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In a British court of law, evidence is paramount. I can't entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you're able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude. Can you, Mr. Hayato? We have to say it. I understand, my lord. The defense would like to put forward a name. You are a fool. That response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learned. Let us not delay, counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger to the other seat. This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn to trial in my favor. On that night, on the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the omnibus cabin that was obscured from view was...
Take that!
the passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witness on the roof deck failed to see. It has to have been Mr. Magnus McGilded. Mr. McGilded? What are you talking about, counsel? That's the name of the defendant.
Objection!
If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hallowed chalice, do forgive the discrepancy. Lord Band 6! People talk of these time nations for ease as having a learning and culture of their own. I see they use the terms ill-advisedly. What are you trying to say? Let me explain in terms that even a student of an artist's backwater such as yourself might understand. When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. But the witnesses have decided about. It's the very premise on which this case is built.
Objection!
But that premise may be wrong. What? If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded, it creates an inconsistency. What inconsistency, counsel? The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claim that there's blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection!
Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the glory remains.
Objection!
The point is, even in the face of discernible evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance. Yes, their testimony remains unchanged. Exactly, they both adamantly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, the memory of is correct and their testimony reveals the truth. There was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we have yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on that passenger's hands, both of them.
Objection!
And who was this third party? Obviously, the true culprit. Extraordinary. Order! 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 What exactly are you postulating?
Objection!
The defendant's postulation is just that, nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses clearly stated that they sought the accused.
Objection!
But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Prepley said the two of them were wearing hats and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. Yes. Thought their heads were skewed by the roof. I could see the rest of them though. Yes, that's right, both gents were completely. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir. And what particular styles of hat did the two gentlemen spot, Mr. Press? I'm afraid I don't remember. Was it a hatter? That hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin. How can you be so sure? Because if there had been, the accused Mr. McGill would undoubtedly have offered to dispose the pack. Unless that is, you're proposing the even more preposterous explanation. That the accused failed to even notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which he traveled. Ah! That's right. Order! There's clearly a simple solution to this problem. Bring the accused Mr. McGill into the stand. Well, what say you, counsel? The prosecution objects, my lord. On what grounds? As a suspect, you already have made a full statement to the police. But what if there's some reason why he's unable to speak freely? Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion? My lord. Yeah. The defense would like to call Mr. McGill to the stand. In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury. Yes, I need a little time to consider this. If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGill has to say. Get the man out of here, sire. It would be utterly illogical not to hear his testimony. When something is doing, get it done. That's how I run things on my guild. Hearing what the patron of my favorite podcast will say, oh yes, that would be lovely. Yes, the jury says the man must be heard. Very well, the court will hear the defendant's testimony. Philip, show the defendant to the stand at once. I think we're in the endgame now. All I remember from this case is that it's gonna introduce us to one of the best characters in the duology, in my opinion. Also, my favorite character in the Sherlock Holmes books. Now, maybe what Nancy had tonight will finally become clear. Let proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGilded, have you been listening to the discourse of the day? To be sure I have, my lord. There are now two matters on which the court desires to hear from you. The first is whether or not there was a third party with you in the ominous cabin as proposed by the defense. The second is as this person was indeed present, why did you conceal the attack from the police? Because no, it is not in my nature to hide anything at all. Just answer the questions, please. The truth of the matter is, I've been desperate that this all along. Do I tell you all or to keep my mouth shut? Tell us what, Mr. McGilded. The fine fella presenting me is absolutely right. The carriage on the other side of the other passenger. Other man, there was another passenger. It's true? Aye, it was me who helped the little urchin get away after it all happened. You what? No, not Mr. McGilded. That convenient excuse can't save you now. I'm truly sorry, sir. I am Lord Van Beeks. So you may want to know why I said nothing when I was taken by the police. I do be having a very good reason, I assure you. Which was? Well, the little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And not in any way involved, you see. What? If the police had known that everyone was there, they have assumed she'd done it. They have hauled her into this here courtroom just like myself. I was only trying to spare her that. Young hearts and young minds are so easily damaged, my lord. And who was this young child of whom you speak? That I don't know. You don't know? Well, the waiting just had to be in the carriage that night. I never saw her before or since.
Objection!
We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. The prosecuting the cause of his statements be disregarded by the court. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the urgent isn't here in this courtroom as we speak, listening to the proceedings. What? Ah, smoke! Ah, bye! There's a fire! Look, someone's trying to get away! After them! So use! Can see the smoke. What's going on? Chris in the harder, cover your face. Well, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Philip, ensure the defendants in custody and clear the courtroom. We're hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. Amid scenes of chaos as people stumbled over one another in their desperation to flee the chamber. We had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that, for the time being at least, the trial was suspended. That's first time we had to be continued. We can end it there for now. We'll end it there probably. But I want to finish this though. I do want to finish this. Decisions. We'll end it here for now. And continue it in the afternoon. We'll do a double stream. That should be good enough. This will lead us into like a chapter. I guess only like the trial so far, so it's like. Let's finish it up. Might as well at this point. 18th February at 12:52 p.m. to Old Bailey, the Venice Antechamber. What on earth just happened in there? It's in our huddle. I must find out what happened. I was told it was an advanced form of smoke grenade. A smoke grenade? It sounds like the sort of thing ninjas use. They're just making sure everything is safe now. I think the trial will start again before long. But who would have done something like that? The police managed to catch someone who was trying to plead the courtroom, apparently. Plead the courtroom? Why? Well, it's a young girl of around 15, I hear. A young girl, then could it be the other passenger Mr. McGill was just talking about? I thought exactly. She wasn't lying. Oh, well, it's like Mr. McGill actually. £5 exactly. Now she's surpassed 5 passengers, which means the page still need to add up again. She's right, that is strange. The trial will commence in 5 minutes. Oh, thank you, officer. We're going straight away. Well, whoever she is, I imagine this young girl will be asked to take a stand and testify now. Or you can't imagine what she's going to say, but it could alter the whole direction of the trial.